There's one power, invisible, and you see it everywhere and every day. One power, indescribable, and you speak of it with every word you say. Mysterious until you know the truth. As simple as the love inside of you. Call it God, call it Spirit, call it Jesus, call it Lord, call it Buddha, Baha'u'llah, angels' wings or heaven's door. But whatever name you give it, it's all one power, can't you see? It's the power of the love in you and me. One power, one power.
Good morning and welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living, Midtown Atlanta, where you are welcome. Such is the nature of life that all it asks and at once is the opportunity to appear. You are that opportunity, and so am I, and so it is. Whoever you are, whatever path brought you here today, please know that you are welcome and celebrated. We know who you are. You are an individualized expression of the divine life in which we all live. And in that knowingness, we know that whatever brought you here today, you're welcome to become a part of this community in whatever way serves you. And now, for our Declaration of Principles as written by our founder, Ernest Holmes.
A few of the declaration of principles we live by.
I believe in one God, one absolute power, and first cause to all things.
I believe that this power is perfect love, and it creates out of a desire to express love.
I believe all thought is creative, and how I choose to think creates my personal experience.
I believe in the unity of all life, and the immortality of the individual soul forever unfolding.
I believe in the eternal goodness, the eternal loving kindness, and the eternal givingness of God to all.
And so it is.
So grateful, hey.
So, a practitioner is someone who has studied and demonstrated the ability to use spiritual practice in spiritual laws in their life to bring about great changes. And also, when they're asked, they are able to help others achieve similar results in their lives. Now, they're licensed by the Centers for Spiritual Living and help provide spiritual guidance, and they're able to provide you this support in whatever ways serve you. You can connect with them on our website, cslmidtown.org. There's a section up there for who our practitioners are, and you can reach out to them if you need help with anything. Today, we've got one of our amazing practitioners, Norma Roberts, who is a practitioner emeritus with Centers for Spiritual Living. And she's here to provide good ideas and an affirmative prayer called a spiritual mind treatment. Welcome, Norma Roberts.
Good morning, Vance. Good morning to all of you. It's so good to be here this morning. I want you to know that this week's global theme is the edge of the possible. And the question that goes with this is, what would be possible if we really believe that anything is possible? In this month's magazine, Reverend Dr. Ron Fox says, just as we expect the sun to rise each morning, we can expect Spirit to reveal new opportunities, insights, and blessings. We determine the quality of the life we live. How we approach life makes all the difference. Happiness is a state of mind that we bring to life. To embrace possibility fully is to live in a state of expectancy. The law of life is a law of thought, an activity of consciousness. The power flows through us, but the Spirit can do for us only what it can do through us. Unless we are able to provide the consciousness, it cannot make the gift. While Ernest Holmes wrote, the possibilities of the law are infinite, and our possibilities of using it are limitless. If I am willing to embrace new ways of thinking and being, I can create a whole new life for myself. The power behind all things is without limit. But in working for us, it must work through us. Realizing then that while the power is limitless, it must become operative through our own thought. We shall see that what we need is not some greater power, but a greater consciousness, a deeper realization of life, a more sublime concept of an already indwelling God, who is personal to us by virtue of being personified through us. God can do all things through us. And now I invite you to join me in our morning treatment by just taking a deep cleansing breath and relaxing and just being here with us just for a moment. Being with us as we know there is but one life. That life is God. That life is whole, perfect, and complete. And that life is my life right here and right now. In this one life, God, Spirit is all, has no opposite and no opposition. It is the one intelligence, one presence, one power, and one action in all, through all, as all. It created me out of itself to experience all the good that it is. As Spirit personified, I choose to accept myself as complete, powerful, and all sufficient. My work, finances, relationships, and body are the perfect manifestation of perfect intelligence. To this end, I now deny, eradicate, and totally eliminate from my subconscious mind every race belief, every negative block, and I now live in a state of greater possibilities. They are greater than I have ever known before. Some are even surprising to me. I am now imbued with life, vitality, power, freedom, unlimited abundance, and greater peace. I speak to any turmoil in my life as I announce, peace be still, and know that I am God. I declare I am well. I am strong. I am exceptionally healthy. And the possibilities become the inevitable. I claim my spiritual maturity, and I now live from the consciousness of oneness with God and oneness with all of its qualities. The truth of who I am dissolved forever. Any mental patterns which do not reflect my God nature, as well as any effect of search patterns. With great thanks, I expect and accept and ever increasing awareness of the omnipresence of God. My good is of God and is expand forever as success, as perfect health, as abundant wealth, and fulfilled loving relationships. I now release this word to the law that responds by corresponding. And I declare it is so now, and my consciousness accepts its declarations and awaits its perfect manifestation. It is so, and so it is.
Yeah. Come on. Yeah. Come on. Talking about that peace. That's right. Set your spirit free, y'all.
If we wanna make a change, be the change we seek. If we get this thing called love, turn the other cheek, spin the world all upside down. Maybe then we'll see another way to be. If we're gonna have this dream, wake to make it real. If I'm marching for some peace, start at home with me. If we soothe the roar inside to bring some harmony, we're the point where it begins. Shanti Omani Pache Shalom.
Talking about that peace. That's right. Yeah. Set your spirit free, y'all.
Shanti Omani Pache Shalom.
Talking about that peace. That's right.
People say it's Judgment Day, time for us to choose. We can win together now, but separately we lose. Given to the doubt and fear, we show that heaven's here. With every word we say, with every move we make, with every breath we take. Shanti Omani Pache Shalom.
Talking about that peace. That's right. Yeah. Set your spirit free.
Shanti Omani Pache Shalom.
Talking about that peace. That's right. Yeah.
What the bleep, hey, got it right. With water and with life, what we get is what we think. So bask your mind with light, focus on a super you. It suits the world of two. Join our peace, love and fun, till the work of peace is done. 'Cause baby we are one. Shanti Omani Pache Shalom.
Talking about that peace. That's right. Yeah. Set your spirit free.
Shanti Omani Pache Shalom.
Talking about that peace.
My pleasure to introduce our speaker this morning. Cynthia Paulsen is a amazing, amazing person that we have with us. She used to be here local in our community, and she's moved to Oregon with her husband. But she's a interfaith and religious science minister, a divine science spiritual practitioner, motivational speaker, and author. Her sermons and workshops are deeply rooted in New Thought principles, inspiring personal growth and transformation. She's the author of Undoing the Knots, Reclaiming Our Good, and she recently completed her Doctor of Divinity with the Emerson Institute. She's busy writing a new book, and she's happy to be living in Brookings, Oregon. Please welcome Reverend Dr. Cynthia Paulsen this morning.
Thank you, Vance. It's so good to be with you all. And that new book is coming out March 20th. That's exciting. Yay. Okay, guys, I'm going to start this morning with a mindfulness practice because, as I'm sure you've noticed, the world is kind of crazy right now. You can't even open your phone or check the news or pay attention to what's happening in the world without being thrown into fight or flight and feeling, tension and stress and fear. So this happens because we care. We care about humanity. We are compassionate people. This is a stressful time. So I discovered this account on social media, on TikTok of all places. This guy, he's a hip hop artist, but he doesn't really post that much about his music. His name is Jackson Hunter, if you're interested. He makes the same TikTok video over and over and over again. And it's this mindfulness practice that we are going to do right now. So this is what you're going to do. In 3, 2, 1, care less. Inhale. Let that out. Care less again. Inhale. Let that out. Care even less. Inhale. Let that all go. You're doing a good job. That is what he says every time. That is the script that he follows. And, I follow him and his videos show up in my feed and I do it every time I see him. I mindfully stop to care less and to breathe. Now, he is not asking us to actually care less about the world. It's about noticing that we are holding onto and caring about the world so tightly with tension in our bodies. And it's about pausing to check in with ourselves and take care of ourselves for a moment. So I hope that helped you. So as Norma mentioned, the topic today is about living on the edge of the possible, focused on collective action, how communities, particularly spiritual communities, can come together to explore what's possible for the world. Now, Norma mentioned how in the notes for CSL for this topic for this week, they had this great contemplative question, and I'm going to talk more about this. What would be possible if we really believe anything is possible? What would be possible if we really believe that anything is possible? That's what I'm supposed to be contemplating as I deliver this talk, theoretically. But what this question kind of reminds me of is, walking up to someone and saying, tell me everything you don't know. You can't do that. You can't answer that because you don't know. We don't know what we don't know. We don't know what's possible. But obviously, the point of this kind of question is we're supposed to think about it consciously, contemplate it deeply. What is possible? Now, I know that you are all aware that there are a lot of things right now to be outraged about. There are a lot of things that spiritually minded people, folks like ourselves, would like to see stopped or changed or fixed. There is so much to be angry about, to denounce, to protest, and to resist. So while I was thinking about this time in history that we're living in, I remembered something that Dr. Bob used to say when he was here. He used to say, stand for something, but against nothing. Stand for something, but against nothing. Now, that is a powerful new thought idea spoken from a place of high consciousness. And it is tricky to do that these days. At least it is for me. It's hard. So, when we contemplate and consider what is possible in this world, we really do have to look at what we are for, what we want to experience. This idea of a world that works for everyone and what it could possibly look like. We need clarity around this and clarity around the possibility of it happening. And because we are spiritual folks who believe in New Thought Principle, this, new possible world is going to be rooted in humanity loving each other, people respecting each other, living in the truth of our peace and our harmony and our unity. Now, I think we also need clarity around this idea of being on the edge of it. That's part of the title today. And the whole month's theme is about embracing the edge from different perspectives. Today's specifically is about being on the edge of what's possible. But where is this edge? What is the edge of something? I think in this instance, we're talking about being on the brink of or on the verge of what's possible. That's the edge. And this makes me think about my yoga practice. Now, stick with me here for a second. I am of the age where flexibility and balance are things that I need to pay attention to. So I do what's called yin yoga, which is slow yoga, where you hold passive positions and postures for several minutes. And there is a saying that gets repeated a lot in these yin yoga classes. And that saying is, find your edge. That's what the instructor says all the time. Find your edge. And what that means is locate the precise point where you feel significant resistance, stretching and compression without inducing pain. It's that sweet spot where you're doing something, but it isn't necessarily hurting. It can definitely feel a little bit out of your comfort zone, for sure. It's uncomfortable, but it's not to the point where you're injuring yourself. So that's the edge that you're looking for in that kind of yoga. So if we apply that to living on the edge of what's possible as a spiritual community, a group of people who want to see the world uplifted to a higher consciousness, who want to see the world move in a direction toward oneness and harmony, what would the edge feel like? How do we know when we're on the edge or at the edge as a spiritual community? What does this mean for us? I think it means going a little bit out of our comfort zone, just like with that yoga stretch. I think it means taking our spirituality beyond the hour that we spend together on Sunday mornings on YouTube or Facebook or Zoom, or even when you guys meet in person once a month. It means walking out on the edge, stepping into a larger idea of who and what we are and what we can co-create using the principles we study. It means practicing this out in the very world we wish to positively influence and impact. So I found this quote from a talk that Ernest Holmes gave in 1959. This was a year before he died. This was at the dedication of the Church of Whittier, California. He said, "We have yet to see what the multiple consciousness of a church body can do. There is a law of good, there is a power in the universe greater than we are, and we can use it. And it will multiply its effects 1,000 times through the united consciousness of a group. We are so powerful. And I think what he's saying is the power of the universe is multiplied, amplified, when the consciousness of a group is focused, united, and aligned. We saw a wonderful example of this over the last several months with the Buddhist monks who did their peace walk. I'm sure you all followed this and know all about it, but here's just a quick summary of it. There were 19 Buddhist monks who walked for 2,300 miles over 108 days. They went from Fort Worth, Texas, and walked all the way to Washington, D.C. They walked to promote inner peace, compassion, and mindfulness. It was not a protest. It was spiritual in nature. It was not political. They walked in their traditional robes, and along the way, they handed out peace bracelets and gave peace talks, sharing messages of hope in this divided society. These monks were practicing peace, which is their normal practice. They were being their authentic selves, practicing their spiritual principles out in public, in a very public way, which I'm sure was a little bit out of their comfort zone. And talk about comfort zone, some of them walked barefoot or in socks, and they went through like winter storms, snowstorms. Now, they had a lot to deal with on this journey besides just weather issues. They dealt with protesters and resistance. There were groups that showed up along the way of their walk and shouted at them and held signs. During one of their peace talks, I saw this video where the head monk was trying to get the crowd to just be in a moment of silence, and someone shouted out, "You're going to hell." I don't even have words for that. So if you can just imagine for a moment, you're out in public with your fellow members of your spiritual community. You're doing your spiritual practice. You are showing up as peace in the world out in public, and you're being yelled at. That is absolutely uncomfortable. That is feeling that edge. Now, fortunately, that kind of response was very rare and unusual, and it paled in comparison to the positive response that the monks received. They have an incredible following on social media. Last reports that I read, their Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok accounts total over 5.8 million followers. That's a lot of people. People are interested in this. They're needing this. Thousands of people traveled to wherever they were walking along their route just to get a glimpse of them, to offer support to them, to listen to their messages at their scheduled stops, and to be in their peaceful presence. It was estimated that 24,000 people gathered in Washington, D.C. for their global loving kindness meditation at the conclusion of their walk. Now, so I'm just going to ask you to think about this. Do you think they succeeded in promoting inner peace, compassion, and mindfulness? Did they bring an awareness of peace to the world? Did they get us to consider the possibility of peace, of being peaceful while walking on the edge of their comfort zone? I think they did. So it's one thing to talk about an idea like this, and it's another thing to actually get out and do something like this. So I wanted to do more than just talk the talk. I'm a big talker, I know. I wanted to walk the walk. Now, in January, I knew this talk was coming up for several months. And in January, I met a man in my community. I live in Brookings, Oregon, as Vance mentioned. Very small town on the Oregon coast. There's only about 7 or 8,000 people who live here. And if you could put the picture up, this is my friend that I met. His name is Basil. And he was very moved by the monks' peace walk. He wanted to hold peace walks in our town of Brookings. So he put it on the community Facebook groups for our town. Social media is a way of putting yourself out in public too. So it was interesting that before we even really got going, there was pushback and resistance. Some of the people who commented on the posts, didn't understand and were demanding to know what our agenda was and, what we were protesting, even though we explained, the only agenda was peace, the awareness of peace, to show up and walk as an expression of peace in the world, our true nature. It was not a protest of anything. People were still suspicious. So we walked. Starting the last week in January, we walked 3 times a week, and we did this for 3 weeks. Now, the last one was a couple days after the monks finished their walk. We would gather at the library here in town, and we walked for about 1.5 miles through downtown Brookings on Highway 101, and then we would go back to the library. And we did this in meditative silence. Basil held his sign about walking for peace. We had no political signs at all. And I'll just start with the uncomfortable parts. As far as being on the edge out in public doing this, we had a couple thumbs down from people. In fact, I laughed out loud. This guy drove by me and he slowed down to read the sign and then went, he looked like a cartoon. It was so silly to watch his demeanor change. I don't know how anyone can be against peace. It was just comical. We had folks who shouted out things like "Go Trump" or "More ICE," which it was not a political thing. I don't know. It was just an interesting thing to witness and see. We had people do one time. I didn't know there was a name for this. It's called coal rolling, where people blow black smoke from their exhaust with their diesel vehicle. That happened once. Those moments were uncomfortable for sure. But I would say 90 to 95% of the response was wonderful. We had people honking their car horns and, waving as we went by and smiling and peace signs and thumbs up and, fist bumps. Like, people were excited and happy to see what we were doing out there. And I have to admit, it was magical to show up out in the world in public, be in a meditative state, just consciously expressing as peace into the world, my true nature of peace. It felt really good doing these peace walks. And, I found myself mindfully noticing things downtown that I wouldn't normally pay attention to. Things like the trees that are down there and the lampposts and, beautiful plants outside the businesses downtown. There's benches and seating areas that I didn't even know were down there. I noticed that there's a corner of downtown where you can see the ocean. There's a beautiful view down there. I was truly in a state of divine beauty and peacefulness walking through my community. Now, the very first walk, Basil did by himself because he hadn't put it out there on Facebook yet. And the group grew. If you can show the next picture, we had 26 people show up at our last walk, which is really great for a town this size. Now we did stop doing the walks because Basil went out of town for a month. But people are already asking us to do it again. It's very interesting. Some of the comments on Facebook are asking when the next one's going to be. People saw us practicing peace out in public. And the group grew because people are interested in that and interested in joining that. Another experience that I've had that was similar to this was with a group I attend called Universal Heart Center. They're out of Crescent City, California. And it's sort of like a CSL discussion group. It's just not official. They're not officially linked with CSL. But it's been around for about, like, I think more than 20 years. We meet every Sunday. We follow the same topics that CSL does. And we each just take turns volunteering to present and lead the discussion. Well, back in 2013, long before I moved out here and met these people, the group discovered something called the Happiness Sprinkling Project. And that was created by Laura Levine. She's a life coach and a retreat leader. Now, a happiness sprinkling is when a group of people, it doesn't have to be a spiritual group, hold signs with encouraging words in a busy part of their community for about an hour. The signs, and they are professionally made, high quality signs, say things like, "You are beautiful. You are loved. Go for peace. Breathe. You are delightful. It's going to be okay. Trust yourself. You are enough. Life is good." The intention is to show up and spread joy, to be the presence of joy and happiness in the world. And it's a great excuse to play music and dance like a fool on the side of the road. I will admit, I've done these. They're so fun. So I have a picture of one of our happiness sprinklings, if we could show that one. Uh, it's so much fun. I just can't even explain it. As a group, we try to do them about once a month. I missed this one, so I'm not in this picture. But we also do one as a float on the 4th of July in the little parade in Crescent City. It's so fun. So my friend Denise, who has run these sprinklings for years, knew the history of it for when they first started it. So I reached out to her, and she said when the group first started doing them, people were really suspicious of them. And they thought they were selling something, you know? And she said during the COVID years, which, remember, COVID lockdown, that was crazy time, but they would spread out and do the happiness sprinklings. And people would see the sign that said breathe. And, they thought it had to do with the George Floyd, I can't breathe. You remember there were all those protests. And it wasn't a protest at all, or the sign that said it's going to be okay. People would spew hate and flip them off. And it was crazy. It was a crazy time. That was the group getting out there on the edge in public, for sure. But thankfully, people have started to know now who we are and what we're doing. And the response is amazing. People love to see these sprinklings, these happiness sprinklings. There are car honks and waves and smiles. And I will say from experience, you can see people's mood shift immediately when they read your sign and then they see you out there dancing, and people just relax and they smile and they laugh, and it's happiness. It's happiness in action. And I love doing these events because as you lift others up in love and joy, you get lifted up in love and joy. It's totally reciprocal. You feel like $1,000,000 and you are positively influencing the collective into what we believe is possible. Joy and loving unity. Ernest Holmes once said, "You find me 1,000 people in the world who know what religious science is and use it and live it as it is, and I myself will live to see a new world, a new heaven, and a new earth here." We get out there and we use it. We let people see us practicing these principles. I think that was a great quote from him, but I think his numbers are way off. I don't think it takes 1,000 people who know what religious science is to change the world and make a difference. I think it takes 2. We've all heard the scripture line that says, "When 2 or more are gathered, I am there in the midst of them," meaning the divine is present. That is Matthew 18:20. But the line right before that one says, "If 2 of you agree on earth concerning anything they ask, it will be done for them by my Father in heaven." Now, the New Thought version of that might sound like, If two of you can recognize the wisdom and oneness deep within you, get clear on your vision, anything is possible because that's the way spiritual law works. We know we are very powerful individually, but our gathering together triggers even more of the power. I think in this moment in history, this time that we're living in, we are being called to gather. Yes, in our church communities, but also just in our communities in general. I mean, look at what those monks accomplished by simply walking, taking it out of the monastery, practicing and living their peace in public. I mean, the following and the attention that they received, which was not their intention, but it's a rippling and a spreading out of this principle. I didn't know that my community had so many like-minded people interested in gathering for peace until this man chose to make a Facebook post about it. And now we're all friends and have the intention to continue doing things and to gather and do the work in this community. So your takeaway today is to make the connections, form the communities, or use this one. I mean, it's far bigger than CSL Midtown, but you've got a group of like-minded people here, right here. Seek out and find your like-minded others and find your edge. Get out there, get out of your comfort zone while practicing your spiritual principles. Even if it's just talking about your practice with people, because I know that great things are possible when we do this. And the last thing I want to leave you with sounds like a shameless plug. But if you enjoyed this talk and you're not familiar with me, you don't follow me yet, please follow me on social media. I am on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. And on Facebook in particular, I have a private group that you are all welcome to join. I make a video every day. It's called One Word, One Thought, One Question. It's an opportunity for spiritual discussion, reflection, and connection. I would love to have you come join. Thank you so much, CSL Midtown, for having me.
Thank you, Reverend Cynthia, for that amazing talk today. We appreciate you. We're glad you were here. And we'll see you over on Zoom to have a conversation in just a little bit. So now it's time for our affirmation of prosperity. And if you would, you can set up an ongoing contribution at cslmidtown.org/donate. You can click on the QR code, which you'll see in a minute on our affirmation of prosperity screen. And if you're getting fed by this information, by the speakers that we get, we would like you to consider $5, $10 a month, simple contribution to help us maintain what we're doing with Centers for Spiritual Living. So, with that, let's do our affirmation of prosperity. I live in a universe of abundance. As I freely and joyfully give, I join in the divine flow, and all that I share with life is returned to me, multiplied abundantly. And so it is. Thanks for that, and we appreciate every one of you for your donations, your support, your loving givingness to Center for Spiritual Living, Midtown, Atlanta. And so I got a couple of announcements. Next week is March 1st. It's our in-person potluck, and it's our annual meeting. So if you're in town, we really, really would like you to be here in person. If you're out of town, on Zoom, join us, and we will share that and have you actively participate in that conversation. I want to thank Norma Roberts for being our practitioner today, Reverend Cynthia for being our speaker today. Next week, and like I said, it's in person, and we got Reverend Dr. Bob Dean talking about what if, and you can join our adult discussion group, the adult study group, at 10 a.m. on Sundays on our Zoom. You can go to CSL Midtown and scroll down to the Zoom, pick that up, and that will get you in that meeting. So like I'm going to reiterate, March 1st, next Sunday, we would love to have you in person with us for our annual meeting. And now we've got a little bit more to go for our affirmation of life. Say this with me. I leave this place now knowing something better than I knew before. I go forth into the world with a heart full of love and a mind full of good sense. I look at the world in a greater way, knowing that I have within me everything I need to create the life I desire. I give thanks for this understanding, and I am grateful for the spirit of life that lives through me. All right, that's it for this service today. Join us over on Zoom for a discussion with Reverend Cynthia, and have a great week, everybody.
Hey, I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for all that I have. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for all that I have. Hey! Oh yeah. Grateful. I just say I am so grateful every day for all I have. Every day. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for all I have. Every day I say it. Grateful. How I'm grateful. Every day. Oh yeah. I am so grateful. Oh yeah. So grateful. 'Cause I accept and I receive. I am so grateful. Oh yes, I am. I am. I am so grateful. Hey, grateful. I just